The internet has made it easier than ever to start a business. Succeeding on the internet, now that's another story. The big question is, what are those who are succeeding doing differently? This podcast has the answers. Welcome to the Marketing Matrix podcast. I'm your host, Lisanne Murphy, and I'm here with the incredible and talented and brilliant Jeff Brewer. Jeff, thank you so much for being on the show with me today.
Thanks a lot for having me. Really excited to be here.
We're going to have a party. Guys, I want to take a second to introduce Jeff and help you understand just a little bit from paper, like how amazing this guy is. And I'm going to give him a chance to dive into his story and share some of the incredible tools that I've had the opportunity to learn from him myself. So Jeff is a leading product launch expert and the founder of Launch Hacker Lab, an online community and coaching program that teaches entrepreneurs and experts how to increase their income, build a community, and have a greater impact in the world by achieving their most successful product launch possible. He launch hacks the product launches of the top marketers in the world and brings their expert strategies to you, the entrepreneur, so you can model success and implement their same strategies on your very own launch. Jeff shows you how it's not about the industry you are in or the followers you have, but the proven launch system you follow that determines your success. Entrepreneurs ranging from beginners to experts in all different industries have used his system to implement multi-six-figure and even seven-figure product launches in less than 7 days. He sees launches not as a single revenue event, but as a way to merge and stack different launch strategies together to build the business you want that gives you the freedom to live your best life and leave your legacy. This launch hacker lives to show you how you are just one launch away. Boom! Jeff, welcome to the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. It gets me really excited and fired up every time that I hear that intro.
Good. You're like, wow, yeah, I am like so legit. That's amazing. So for those listeners that aren't as familiar, I would love for you to go into the story. Like, how did you become this juggernaut launch hacker lab genius?
Yeah. So, I mean, the short answer is just a lot of really hard work and a lot of experience. But the long answer is, when I first started in this digital marketing world right out of school, I was working with a digital marketing agency, and we had clients that were ranging from local businesses all the way up to Fortune 500 companies. And we were really doing the work for them, just anything digital marketing. And we were catching fish for them, getting leads and sales instead of teaching them how to fish. And what I found in doing that was, although, we were making decent revenue and had a pretty good sized team and it was a lot of fun and we had some great clients, you're in the agency model, you're really only as good as your last client, right? And like, unless you have clients staying with you for years and years, and you're going to have some clients that come on and then they're there, then they leave, and then you have to replace that revenue. And also, if you're someone who tries to be known for everything, you're going to be known for nothing. So I really made this transition where I saw these amazing top marketers in the world, and I thought, hey, I want to be that. I want to grow my personal brand. I want to grow my influence online. I want to be speaking on stages. I want to be helping people at more of a mass scale instead of our, book of like 10 to 30 clients that we had at the time. So I really just wanted to play bigger. And one of the biggest trends I saw with the people who were playing bigger were they were known as being the best at one thing, right? And about 4 years ago, I joined Russell Brunson's Inner Circle Mastermind. And at the time, I was definitely one of the smaller businesses in there, and I saw the most successful people in there as well. They weren't doing the work for their clients; they were teaching them how to do what they were best at, and they were focusing on being known as one thing, right? So you have people like Russell Brunson who are known as, oh, he's the best in the world at funnels, right? You have people like Ezra Firestone, where hey, he's the best in the world at e-commerce and Shopify, right? It's just, you could go into all these people that are the category kings in their one niche. So I thought, if I want to be that kind of person, if I want to be a go-to expert, I need to be a go-to expert in one thing. So I looked at who were the clients that I loved working with, who were the clients that I had the most success with. And instead of working for these big corporations or bigger companies where you're talking more to a marketing manager, I really loved working with entrepreneurs, right? Where you're talking to the sole person that runs the business, and anything you do to help them has a major, major impact in their business. as opposed to like a Fortune 500 company where you could be killing it, but it might not really significantly move the needle on their whole entire balance sheet, right? So I loved helping people that are making an impact in the world, loved helping entrepreneurs, and I knew I wanted to reach more people at scale. I had to do that through more of a group coaching, creating content, and leveraging the communities of other influencers that I was in.
I love that. So at one point, did you try to niche down into like different things? Like, did it take you a while to find like launches are my thing, or like how did that process work?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, so it started off when I had this digital marketing agency. Pretty much, you're able to quickly see like, oh, they're coming to me to build their website, right? Well, they also need traffic to that website, because if you invest a lot of money to build this beautifully designed website and then you don't have traffic, it's pretty much like designing a beautiful billboard and putting it in the middle of the forest, right? Like no one's going to see it. So I then said, okay, we need to be great at social media. This was in like 2012 when, Facebook, Twitter were kind of like just getting big. So we started offering organic social media services, which were really relevant then. And I mean, still are, but I think it's harder to get people results doing that now without it being just one portion of like a full marketing strategy that integrates organic and paid and content at scale. So then probably the thing we were best at was SEO, and specifically local SEO, because one of our experts on our team, Steve Wiedemann, he still is known as one of the top local SEO experts in the world, and he brought a lot of Fortune 500 business to us. So I eventually thought like, hey, I want to do some kind of course with him on local SEO, but then he got really busy and started building this like software and his own kind of system, and he was really more of a partner instead of like an employee in our agency. So I said, hey, if I want to control 100% of the outcome in my business, I need to be that expert, right? Like I didn't want to be, at first I was like, let me be the marketer to other people's experts, but I thought if I want to be in full control of the entire outcome and the process and the system of what was going to happen in my business, I needed to be the expert at that one thing. And I joined Jeff Walker's mastermind at the same time, pretty much that I joined Russell Brunson's mastermind. And I really found out that this product launch formula system of Jeff's, that I'm sure a lot of people have seen, like the 4 videos at the top of a video during the product launch system. That's his product launch formula process that uses this 4-part video series in conjunction with Russell Brunson in funnels and webinars. That's kind of his launch system. Both are two types of launch systems, just different in their own right. So I began like studying heavily around these different types of launch systems, and then I began doing it with specific customers and influencers in their spaces, and then I just loved it. I thought it was so much easier than trying to study and keep up with like Google algorithm updates and organic social media. Like product launches it really just seemed super easy to me compared to all the stuff I was doing. And it allowed me to become an expert on it faster, because like I had a higher barrier to entry of trying to understand complex marketing information, right? Like organic SEO is probably one of the hardest things to be good at when it comes to the digital marketing space, because you're so reliant on Google ranking you, and there's just a lot of ongoing like longer term strategies that go into being successful in that. Whereas if you want to do paid advertising, like you can get Facebook and Google ads or YouTube ads up in like a day or days, right? Just on creating an ad, setting a budget, right? Where this is more of a long-term strategy. So when this process and system that I was studying from these top marketers around product launches came in, not only was I passionate about it, but I really understood it and studied it. And I was like, this is great. Like I've come from years of convincing people to wait 3-6 months to get a real ROI. And now I could create an immediate ROI doing launches for people in 30 or 60 days. And we were making more money, building more momentum in their business that then they could scale, right? Because once you do a launch, you now have intellectual property, you now have a launch campaign that you can take to joint venture partners to promote, that you can take evergreen and automate, that you can now run new traffic to and get people coming on, right? Every time you do a launch, you don't have to create a whole new webinar or reshoot and edit all of your videos, right? So I love the idea of like creating an asset and assets in the campaigns and then leveraging those over time and then ascending people into your high ticket programs, and then like descending them into lower ticket programs. So to me, it was like a combination of, it was just super, I just got it. It was kind of those things where like, you're like, this is amazing because I get it. So which made me happy and passionate about it. And I loved the concept of going from selling people in longer term campaigns to being able to show more immediate momentum, growth, and list building for their audience. So I was like, this is it. I'm going to go all in on being the expert around product launches. And ever since the last few years, that's exactly what I've been doing.
Yeah, well, and I love how you explain that process. And it's been so fun watching you. Like, I follow you on social media, and I swear, like, every time I check into your stories, you're like backstage somewhere, like about ready to go on stage. And I'm like, man, this guy is like all over the place. Like, I don't even know where you are today, if you're home or like you're elsewhere, but I think it's really cool how, like, once you caught the clarity of that vision of where you wanted to go, like, it seems like not that it didn't take a lot of hard work, but it seems like it started to go quickly for you.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting observation from you, and it's very true. I think it's the whole concept that makes the product launch successful. Like, once you're in momentum, it's a lot easier to stay in momentum, right? And I think as an entrepreneur, it's like your job that once you put yourself in momentum, to keep yourself in momentum, right? And you do that by leveraging what you're creating. So for me, it was doing a successful product launch with an amazing influencer who at the time was Doug Polk. He's one of the top poker players in the world, and he was my really like first successful product launch. And I pretty much went to him and his partner and I said, hey, like they had a membership of people that were paying them monthly, and they didn't have a course. And I said, hey, you guys know, if you launched a course to your internal audience, there would be a percentage of those people that would buy that course tomorrow. We should put together a really cool 4-part video series and product launch sequence to add value, storytell, educate, and tell people, hey, if they want to go more in depth in the specific subject and game of poker, they can invest in our course. So they love the idea. They were thinking about doing something similar. But really where I came in is I gave them clarity, right, in the process, system, and structure, and the type of launch to do. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs have really good ideas, but they lack the fundamental things you need to really go to that next level, which in my mind has been a coach, right? So like investing in someone who is where I want to be and having them give me the clarity and the process, system, and structure, right? Because I think a lot of times we sit in idea land of like, I have these ideas, but like, what do I do and how and when? So investing in a coach who has been where you've been, and who is where you're wanting to go, and just investing in their advice and trusting them to give you the right advice and just going, right? So with this first launch, I helped them implement this amazing launch, and it was the first time I had ever done a product launch with a customer. But I just really had taken the knowledge that I gained from my mentors and from watching a lot of these top marketers do these launches, and I just got it, and I just helped them do the same thing, and they were able to generate $305,000 in just 5 days selling a $1,000 course, which at the time to me, I'd never helped anyone make that much money in that short of a time frame. So I didn't just like, that was amazing in itself. And they pretty much were like, this is incredible. We've never made this much money in this short of a time frame. So the biggest question for them became, A, how do we do more of this, right? So they started launching 4 other additional courses, and then I helped them take that launch evergreen, which means pretty much running ads to an automated sequence. And this whole concept of, Warren Buffett says, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you'll work into the day you die. And I'm a huge believer and advocate of that principle. So what I help these guys do, and what I help all my clients do, is just that. I help them do a live launch and then take that evergreen at the right time. So they made, like I said, 305,000 in 5 days in the live launch sequence. And then we took this launch evergreen, automated it, and they were able to generate another $50,000 a month for the next few months. And then we did another launch where we pretty much took the product off the market to then launch a few new products, and they made another $300,000 in that launch. So with this one product, we did it live once, and in less than 8 months, they were able to do $1.1 million in one product. That was $1,000 course, and that's it. And then they went on to launch a lot of other courses as well. So now they have, pretty much they went from going with just a monthly membership of like a $50 a month membership to now having these flagship courses and doing this perpetual live launch and then taking an evergreen model. And now they have a multi-7-figure business per year on that system. And then instead of just being like, hey, that launch was great, I pretty much went and told everyone I knew, right, in my masterminds that, hey, this is now a success story I have forever. Now this is something I can leverage. And I pretty much would start going to other influencers and top marketers in their space and said, hey, this is what I helped do for this guy. I truly believe I can help do the same thing for you and your audience. And then pretty much just doing that over and over again, like leveraging, one success story, make that 3, then you make that 5, then you make it 10. And then it's a lot easier to scale and grow a business once you have customer success stories. And I always tell people, like, if they're like, where do I start? Help someone of influence for free. Like, take your knowledge, experience, expertise, and help someone of influence for free, and then create this, awesome success story around that, and then leverage that to then go and get other paid clients in your space. And that really is the quickest, simplest, easiest way to grow a business online today.
Oh, I love it. I cannot be smiling any bigger. This is amazing. So Jeff, what makes a successful launch?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think there's a lot that goes into it, right? But if I had to narrow it down, I would say, and again, I think in order to have success, sometimes you have to avoid failure. And I think you really need to follow the right process and system. So for me, Tony Robbins said the quickest way to have success is to model success. And like, that's pretty much what Russell Brunson did when he started funnel hacking, like the top funnels in specific spaces, and then launched his whole blue ocean around funnel hacking, which now has led, 6 years later to a company that's 102,000 active monthly customers strong, over $100 million in revenue. So when I joined Russell's mastermind, I said, okay, well, Russell is doing this concept of funnel hacking, right? This is his blue ocean. This is his unique strategy. And I'm funnel hacking these funnels and launching them for clients. But I see my other mentor here, Jeff Walker's doing a launch right now. Like, why don't I launch hack his launch? So I did just that. And I started recording all of his videos, transcribing them, studying his offer. When everyone else was watching what he was saying, I was watching what he was doing, right? And it was that enabled me to really zoom out to this like 30,000 foot overview of like, what's the whole campaign look like, right? What is he doing every single day? And that allowed me to really, at that point, I kind of felt like Neo being able to see the matrix for the first time, because I was like, wow, I get it. I get the system, right? I get what he's doing. I get how he's marketing, how he's storytelling, how he's adding value, how he's hooking you in these longer format pre-launch content videos to over deliver and give you value for free to then make you want more and join the next part of his community, which is his $2,000 course in his product launch formula, right? And there's about now 15 different elements of a product launch that I'll launch hack and study. And I started doing this with Jeff's launch. And then I started pretty much any top marketer who was doing these big launches. What I found is a lot of them will promote for each other, right? And that's how these guys do, $1, $2, $3, $4, some even $5 million plus within 5 days in their product launches. And I said, all right, if I can follow and study the exact process and system of these top 10, top 20 marketers who are doing these amazing product launches, making multi-millions in 5 days, and really analyze, study it, break it down, take the best from this guy, best from this guy, best from this woman, etc. And then over the course of a year, I pretty much did that, and then now put it into my own proprietary product launch system, which is taking the best of the best from all of these other entrepreneurs and top marketers I've studied, and then I'll take it and I'll implement it into my clients' launches, right? And that really was like the backbone of my success. And I said, okay, well, I might not be able to help all of my clients make 3 million, 4 million in 5 days, but if I can take the same strategies, right, and principles from the product launches of people that are doing that, and then teach it to the entrepreneurs that are in my group coaching communities, if you follow the same system to success, you will be successful, right? It's just a matter of degree of your success. And that's exactly what I did. And essentially over the last 2.5 years, I've done over 20 launches, ranging from beginners to experts in all different industries that have generated about $5 million in live launch revenue just from those product launches alone. So it's been really great. And I've had a lot of awesome success working with a lot of different people, but at the core, it's been get a coach, understand the system that that coach does, and ask the most key critical questions that you have in your business that are stopping you from implementing and executing. And like perfection equals procrastination, and you just need to get over that, and you really need to focus on execution of the system you've taken in and have more of a ready, fire, and then aim approach. And then once you're executing, you then get in the momentum, and then you're able to see like what worked, what didn't, and then just consistently be in momentum after that, right? So I think it's getting the coach, following the system, and really just executing. And what I've found is that most people where they will fail in a product launch is they'll focus all of their time, right, on selling people what they need when really people want to buy what they want, right? So I'm a big proponent of like getting an audience, building an audience, surveying a small focus group of that audience, and then asking them what type of product they're already buying or what type of product you could offer that they want to buy. And then doing what I call a growth hack launch, which is pretty much a launch where you're selling a product that hasn't been created yet to a small existing audience. And then once people buy it, then you create the product live with them in a series of group coaching calls. And then you pretty much take the answers to all their questions and you create the solutions to all their problems that they've presented. And then you can do a 2.0 version of that launch, which is an internal launch, which is a more polished launch. Now you have a product that isn't based on like what you think they need, but it's a product based on what they want. And you're answering all the questions that your audience has. You're providing the solutions to all the problems they have. And now you have been able to develop a list, right? Because a lot of people think the number one thing that a launch does is bring in revenue and build momentum, but it's actually, it builds a list, right? There's, most launches, you're only converting like 1%, 5% of your audience to buyers. So there's a huge amount of people that just because they didn't buy today doesn't mean they won't buy in the future. So I focus on selling a product that people have told me that they want before I create it, and then creating it with them, and then relaunching that. And then focus on building your list before the launch. So a lot of people, they'll spend all their time creating a product that they think people want and need months and months and months. Then they'll go to launch it, and then no one will buy because they're launching it to an empty room, right? An empty virtual room because they haven't spent time building their audience, right? So my system and my strategy of selling people what they want and then creating it with them takes out all that time and effort of creating the product beforehand, and it reduces all your risks, because if no one buys it, you just don't create it and you go back to the drawing board, right? And then when you focus on building your audience, your email list, your messenger list, your social following by creating content, putting front end funnels out there, getting people on your list for free, getting low cost customers, and adding value for 30, 60, 90 days before you do the launch. Then when you initiate your pre-launch sequence, a lot more people are going to be more likely to attend and actually buy your product, right? So I think overall, get a coach, find the system, execute, build momentum, and do a launch that is launching a product that people have told you that they want, and then launch it before it's created, create the product with them, and then in the 90-day, 120-day, 180-day period before you do that, go hard on creating content, publishing, building your list, using paid ads, and then you have an audience to really market and sell to.
I love that. I really appreciate you breaking it down. And like the thing that like really like hit me was like, don't launch to an empty room.
Yeah.
Like I've done that before and it sucks.
Yeah, it does. It's the worst thing you can do. It really is, because if you think about it at its simplest form, it's so easy to understand, but everyone really messes it up because they're so worried about creating the perfect product. And don't get me wrong, when you have an audience, having the perfect product is the best way to actually get success stories you can then leverage and then get referrals and word of mouth and have more joint venture partners. So I'm not saying the product doesn't matter. I'm just saying, if you, like, I'm a big believer of Eric Ries and the Lean Startup, which pretty much the whole concept of this book talks about creating a minimum viable product, right? And a lot of software companies are built on this minimum viable product pretty much stance that says like, hey, create the minimum viable version you need to launch with, so that you can start testing what people like and don't like, doing focus groups, getting feedback. And then it's this idea of like continual, ongoing, continuous improvements, right? Like no company, whether it's Facebook, Uber, Airbnb, etc., looked like what they look like today when they first launched it, right? But for some reason, as entrepreneurs and marketers, we think we can't launch our course, our membership, our coaching program until it's the most perfect thing ever, right? But we really need to create and take this lean startup mentality of launching a minimum viable product, then get people in, right? Because sales cures all in business. And if you take all your time and investing into creating the best product, you're spending money, you're spending time, where you're losing opportunity costs on that time of creating content and building an audience, because your audience, like cash is king, but I really think like your audience is the most important thing of intellectual property you own in your business. And I'm a big proponent of leveraging organic and paid ads on social to then bring those people onto your own email list, because that is the one thing in your business that at the end of the day is your intellectual property. It is something you own. When you go to, you know, sell your business or grow your business, that's one of the core things that you own, right? You look at these influencers that had these like 2 million, 5 million Facebook fan pages on Facebook a couple years ago, and then all of a sudden, like overnight, over the course of 6 months, Facebook significantly reduced the organic reach these pages were reaching, and now they were only reaching 1 to 5% of their audience. And because they didn't try to siphon off their audience from Facebook to their own email list, they lost everything overnight. So these platforms that are really exploding organically, like LinkedIn and TikTok, that's the biggest thing I'm telling people in my community, is that, you know, start like leveraging that organic reach now to be sending those people somewhere where you could be building your audience and building your list. And the more you build your audience, the more you really focus on like creating those 1,000 true fans and over delivering for them, right? That's really where you can have a long-term sustainable business. And then you can be launching, you know, different things, different products, upselling people into your group coaching programs, right? That's really where the sustainable business model comes in, but it's on the backbone of publishing content for sure.
I love that. So, what tips do you have for publishing content that brings people that will actually buy when it comes time to launch? Because I mean, there's a lot of like free people that are just trying to get free stuff, and are like people that aren't necessarily serious. They're like just like window shopping all the time. Like, do you have any like secrets you use to like help like really find like the people that will buy and engage with your value letter?
Yeah, I think it's, you know, we could have a 5-hour conversation just about that one question, right? But for me, like a high level, it starts with really aligning, right, with who your ideal avatar is, right? So who do you want to serve? How do you want to serve them? And the people that you've got, like, so what does your perfect client look like, right? And really mapping that out as in much detail as possible. Like, who are they? What do they do? What are their current struggles? What are the questions they have? And then how can you create answers to their questions, solutions to their problems, right? And then how does that map to the people you've already helped in the past? And how have you already helped those people in the past, right? And if you don't have that, you need to figure that out first before you even go to sell anything. So I always tell my customers, before you go to sell anything, you need to have results, right? And it's really impossible today to sell stuff online without actual success stories and results, because people have these, you know, our BS meters, our like antitrust meters are at an all-time high. And you really need to have, I've gotten this result for this type of people. And then people like your avatar who you've gotten results with will be attracted to you on the backbone of the knowledge, information, education you can deliver to them. And then also through the stories of other like-minded and similar customers to the prospect that you have in your existing customer list, right? So I think it starts with that, identifying the perfect customer, and then knowing how you're going to serve them. And I always tell people to start with, if you have customers who've gotten a result for in the past, you probably did something, whether you know it or not, you probably did something very specific that ties into an overall solution that can be broken down into a system. And then the system has an outline, right? So I always tell my clients, in that outline, say you have 100 steps, right? Let's just say you have 100 steps, 0 to 100, that people have to do to go from where they're at to receive the transformation that they want and desire. Each of those steps can be a piece of content, right? So I always tell people, like, if you have a whole 100 golden nuggets, take out all those golden nuggets one by one, and then those become your daily videos or your weekly videos on social, right? And then when you look at actually creating content, there's two types of content that you can publish. There's content that I call documenting content, right? So if you, we were both recently just at Russell Brunson's annual Funnel Hacking Live event. I was one of the roundtable hosts there, which means a bunch of people in the 5,000 group were able to come up to me, ask me questions about product launches. If you were at that table, you would have noticed I had my camera and my microphone on that table recording me for 3 hours answering questions, right? So now I'm able to take that 3-hour recording, break it down question by question into individual videos that I can then go publish on social media with a specific call to action for people to get on my list to learn more about that specific topic or to join my funnel, right? Whatever thing I want to send them to, I can leverage that piece of content. And I didn't need to create anything new, right? I'm existing and living in the current environment of the things I need to do. And I'm just documenting that. And then I'm deploying that content I've documented in a specific way. I actually also have a group coaching program, and I launched my business in Japan last year. And we can get into that in a little bit more detail later. But essentially in November, I was there and I did a 3-day speaking tour in 5 days, right? One of the days was my mastermind, full-day mastermind with my existing group coaching students. And then I spoke at another mastermind, and then I spoke on stage in front of a larger audience and made an offer. Every single one of those segments, I recorded the whole thing, right? So now I can take that content of me speaking on stage, me speaking in my masterminds, and those all become bite-sized 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute, maybe like individual videos I can publish on social. I can take the whole day content if it's around a specific topic, and I can repurpose that into a course I can sell online. I can take a 1-hour session of it and repurpose that into a bonus for my overall offer, right? When you're documenting and getting into the second type of content of creating content, the possibilities become endless. Your content becomes way more scalable. You're leveraging your time a lot more, and you're able to create assets online as you're serving and delivering your audience offline, right? So instead of only talking to a room of 10 people, I now can take the video recording and show that to 10,000 people online, right? So it becomes very, very leverageable and scalable without me having to spend another minute creating that content again, right? So that's the first segment, documenting. I'm always trying to document content. Gary Vee talks a lot about this too, right? He had D-Rock follow him, creating his vlog, just following him in his day. And he's like, this is how I create more content around entrepreneurship subject than anyone else in the world, because I have this guy that just follows me around. While I don't have a guy that follows me around every day, I looked at my calendar and I've said, okay, what are the main events I'm doing online and offline, right? Right now, I have a camera sitting right next to me that's recording everything I'm saying to you, right? So now I can take like a clip of this and put it on social, right? It's like anytime you're creating content and you're serving people, you can use that and leverage it for free content on social. Another great one I love to do is you can take your group coaching calls or your one-on-one coaching calls of your current clients, and you can cut those up, right? Like if you're doing them on Zoom, you can have your video editor cut those up into 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute videos and deploy those on social, right? So documenting content. The next one is creating content. So every month I'll take 2 or 3 days minimum out of the month, and I will say, okay, I'll build what's called a copy codex, right? So the copy codex has 2 sides. On one side, it's all the things I want to teach, right? So I might take that same 0 to 100 golden nuggets and I might put them all on one, like an Excel sheet, line by line. Here are all the things that I want to teach. On the other side of that, I'll say, hey, here are all the stories that I want to tell. Here's my origin story. Here's my personal stories of growth. Here's all my customer success stories. Here's all the stories of the other top marketers I've launch hacked. Here are stories of people in my mastermind of what they're doing best. Here's stories of people that spoke at Funnel Hacking Live and what's working best for them, right? There's stories all around us, and that's the big thing I always think about is like, how do I leverage not just my stories and my client stories, but success stories of other top marketers? And that's how I landed my first client, right? They weren't my stories or my customer stories. I was telling stories of other top marketers, and they're like, wow, this guy knows his stuff. You know, let's hire him. And that pretty much is the thing that launched my business, right? And then once I have all the things I want to teach, all the stories I want to tell, I'll then go to create my content with my video team. So we'll just set up a video camera and I'll take each topic and then I'll create an outline around that topic, right? So I'll say, hey, if I want to talk about a specific topic, like how do you grow your list before your launch, right? So then my headline of my topic might be, here are the 7 top ways to grow your list before your launch to build your launch list, right? And then that specific video I'm creating can hit on those 7 ways to best do that. And then in that video, I'll use what I call the hook, educate, story, offer framework, right? So what's the hook to hook them in to make them watch that video? How do you tell them what they're going to learn on that video so they stay until the end? What's the education point, right? So then I'll go into the detail of those 7 things that I want to teach them. And then I might tell one or multiple stories that prove those 7 things to be true. And then at the end, I'll make an offer that's typically a call to action to either a lead magnet or a front-end funnel that says like, hey, here are the 7 things that I just told you to build your list before your launch. I actually have a full in-depth guide that talks about the top 31 things. So if you enjoyed these 7, you really should download these top 31 things to grow your list. Go to launchhackerlab.com and download them now, right? So then I'll do that same process and film 5, 10, 20 videos in a 5-10 hour segment in person, and I'll just switch my shirt with each video I create so it looks like it's a different video on a different day. And now in just 2 or 3 days of creating content, when you're batching it, you now can have a video per day process and system. And that's how you really build your content library at scale. And I know you being a paid advertising expert, the hardest thing when you're running paid ads is having like great content and a high converting funnel, right, to drive ads too. And that's the thing that I've really realized is like when the creative is the variable, right? So when your content is amazing, there's less pressure on your ad team to make their ads amazing because there's only so much like a Facebook advertiser or a paid advertiser can do if you're creative or your funnel's bad. So it's your job as an entrepreneur, as the expert of your content, to understand what your audience wants and deliver that to them in a compelling way to build your list over time. And that's really the way I look at creating content. How can I leverage my time offline to document it, to then have content online, whether it's free content, bonus content, digital courses, etc. And then how can I batch content 2, 3, 4 times a month and create content? And then when you have documenting content and creating content, it becomes very easy to start putting out content consistently every single day.
I love that so much. Well, and something that I really loved when you were talking about you video recording your roundtable experience at Funnel Hacking Live is not to mention the fact that you were documenting every question that you got, which you can now turn around and say, okay, this is what the market is not understanding about launches. And so this is the type of content I need to beef out more, whether it's like with a new product or with just producing amazing content. I love all of that so much. I appreciate you going into that. So tell me, like, where are we going in 2020? It's kind of the beginning of the year. We just had like huge conferences where we're all inspired and making new goals. Like, where's Jeff Brewer going with this product launch expert hacker lab awesomeness?
Before I get into that, can I tell 2 other quick hacks of how to analyze what your audience is asking to create content for them? Because I think that's a huge thing.
Of course.
Right? So you have your 0 to 100 golden nuggets. You have what you just said. That was really intuitive to hear that. Like, what are people asking Q&A? But also, like, I'm in Russell Brunson's mastermind, right? And then I'm in Jeff Walker's like group coaching programs. Jeff is specifically all around product launches. Russell's more of like funnels, business, everything online. So one thing I did is I had my assistant go through the Facebook groups and review all the questions. And you can just copy and paste the questions into an Excel doc, and that can become your editorial calendar for questions for you to ask. So I love that as a hack. That's a great way to come up with content, because I think for me especially, it's super easy. It's way easier for me to have someone ask a question like you're doing in this interview and give an amazing answer than it is to come up with a topic and then outline it and then record it and then edit it. Like, it's doable, and I do it, and it's great. But in terms of, sometimes the content's better, and oftentimes actually the content's better in this format, and it takes a lot less time, right? So that's one thing. Like, go to your Facebook groups, go to your communities where people are asking questions, and have someone like a virtual assistant or something document all those questions and brain dump them onto an Excel spreadsheet and that becomes your content editorial calendar. The other really quick hack is in your first indoctrination or welcome email after someone gets on your list for the first time, whatever, if they downloaded the lead magnet, if they purchased a product, whatever it is, in the PS of that first email, right? PS, I would say, PS, so I'm always trying to over deliver and serve, you as my audience with the best content. So when it comes to product launches, what's the single biggest challenge that you're currently facing? Type or click reply and type a short message that tells me more about your single biggest challenge, right? Number one, this identifies your most hyperactive buyers or people or leads on your list. Number two, it sends a positive signal to the email autoresponder, which is that people that are on your list, you're not just marketing to them, because the only people that you respond to with email are people that are friends, family, or people that you work with, right? So automatically that autoresponder is going to put you more in that good, not in the promotions tab, because people are responding to your emails in the first email, right? So it's a huge hack to increase your email open rates. And you're getting your audience right away used to responding to you and clicking through. So just the trending momentum is great. And then third, you're getting direct questions that you can add to your copy codex and then your content editorial calendar, right? Because once you have the copy codex of what you want to teach, what stories you want to tell, you'll then start mapping that out into your daily, weekly, monthly calendar. So those are the best ways that people really can leverage their audience's questions to help them create content for them on an ongoing basis.
This is so good. Oh my gosh. I'm so grateful this is recorded. I'm going to go back and listen to this 18 and a half times for sure.
Awesome.
This is amazing.
Yeah, and then perfect. Yeah, I think I'm really all about giving people hacks, practical, implementable action items and steps that they can take right away and tomorrow. I think there's a lot of marketers and educators online who kind of pontificate on theory and stuff they read in headlines or stuff they used to do, a year, a couple months ago. But I'm someone, I still do product launches. I still run product launches as a partner for some of my top clients. And, I'm talking to JVs and I'm managing a launch team. So I still want to be as much a practitioner on the front of the lines of the launch war that is in my clients' businesses, so then I can be actively teaching in my group coaching and my content what are the top strategies that are working. And I felt like that's something that's really resonated with my audience wanting to learn from me, is I'm more about how do we implement these things right now, right away today. So I think people need to get real actionable, practical advice. And I think what people have been doing in the last few years is just buying a bunch of courses and not consuming that content. And I would recommend people go all in on one expert, one coach. I might have nothing wrong with buying courses and stuff if you're going to actually consume that content and pull the action items out of what to do from it. But I think it's a way more successful and practical strategy if you invest in a coach, an expert who has gotten the results for people, who is where you want to be, and tell them give me the exact things to do. What's the process? What's the system? How can I start executing right away? I think if people start doing that and become way more focused and start implementing and executing that system that they know, like, and trust, that's the quickest path to success for sure.
I love it. And I totally agree. I mean, as someone who, I spent like 60,000 last year just on coaching to find the people that I needed to align myself with to help me get the results that I was looking for. So amen to what you're talking about. And I'd love to give you an opportunity to talk about, do you want to share a little bit about your group coaching that you do with offer launches, and also how can people follow your journey and learn more about you and consume more of your content?
Yeah, so thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk about that a little bit. So it ties into your previous question of where am I going? What am I doing in 2020? So pretty much for the last few years, I've spent a lot of time working with a lot of amazing marketers one-on-one to help them do these launches. And I really found out I was able to help a lot of people get a lot of great results, impact big audiences. I've done launches with one of the top Amazon marketers. His name's Brian Burt. Last year, I was able to help him do a $1.1 million launch in 7 days. I've worked with Natalie Hodson, who's also a friend in Inner Circle. She helps pregnant moms stay healthy and fit throughout their pregnancy. I helped her launch a $97 ebook, and we did a $100,000 launch in 10 days. And these successors just kind of go on and on and on. And I really had a big epiphany, like, wow, this is great. I'm really able to help people. But if I'm really playing for impact, if I really want to help the most people possible, I need to start scaling my knowledge and scaling my efforts and not trading time for dollars and working one-on-one. And it was needed, right? Because like I said, I really am someone that quote unquote eats my own dog food. So when I tell people the best thing to do when they're starting out is work with people one-on-one for free or for a low amount to get those success stories, that's exactly what I did. So like, I never give advice I didn't give myself or that I wouldn't take. Or that I haven't taken. So once, I've spent the last few years doing that, and now I'm on a really like more of a mission-driven impact to help more people. So the way I'm doing that is I've launched a group coaching program, and I'm now starting to create a lot more free content, front-end funnels online to bring, build my list, bring in more people. So in the group coaching program, I want to bring 100 people in there in the next year so I can serve more people at scale. And still it's not 10,000 people, right? It's still, I can answer specific questions, and I can bring my actual launch coaches from my paid advertiser and my funnel person on there and really help people at scale. And I just launched the first iteration of this program in Japan last year. So it was funny, I went to speak in Japan, and I really had a huge epiphany there that this is such an amazing community and culture and market of people that are like 5 years behind when it comes to marketing and entrepreneurship. But the buying power of them today is really matching what it is in the US. And there's still 127 million people there. And really not a lot of marketers there are in line with what the top marketing and entrepreneurship strategies of online businesses here, right? There's more 7-figure business owners in the US than there are probably the rest of the world combined right now, just because a lot of the top marketers are here. So what I've done is I've started partnering and created strategic partnerships with other influencers and online marketers in Japan, and I'm doing live events there. And I've now launched what I believe, I'm pretty sure, is the first US group coaching program teaching entrepreneurs and marketers in Japan how to do product launches like the top marketers and entrepreneurs in the US. And that went really successful. That was really successful, and it was really great last year. So now trying to take all the things that worked and really scale it out and make them exponentially work even better here in the US. So I have a lot of clients that are coming to me and wanting to get on board this group coaching program to get some of the amazing results that I'm generating a lot of these entrepreneurs now, not just in the US, but in Japan as well.
We're going to put the link to that in the listen notes. And I think that's awesome how you're like, I've been thinking a lot about how Steven says like, your market is a location, right? And like you saw a hole in the market in Japan, and you went there, and because you like put yourself in front of the traffic that was already happening, some amazing things happened. Like seriously, Jeff, I'm like holding myself back, like asking you 10,000 questions. Like we could talk for a really, really long time about every single thing that we've like just barely touched on today. Oh, it's so good. So what's the best way for people to follow you? Like, are you mostly on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn?
Yeah, I'd say the best way to follow me is on Instagram. My handle there is @Jeff_Brewer. And then also, if you want to visit my website online, it's launchhackerlab.com. Again, that's launchhackerlab.com. I have a really cool, amazing bonus there that I could give your audience. It's a total breakdown of the product launch that I talked about that I helped Doug Polk and Fernando Abegger, who are 2 top poker influencers, doing their first launch where they made $305,000 in 5 days. I give that to you absolutely free, and it's a full breakdown of every single thing that I did to help them in that launch and what we did and how we did it and why that launch was successful. So if people want to go to launchhackerlab.com, they can check that out. And then, if they have any questions about my group coaching program, they can just go to my Instagram and start, feel free to start watching some of my videos that I'm putting out. And then if they want to know more about my group coaching, they can just direct message me the word coaching, and I can talk to them about that in more detail.
I love it. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for just pulling out the stops, ripping out the curtain, and just like sharing specific tactics that you are using in your business and in your clients' businesses. It has just been so great for you to be here and to just drop incredible, incredible value. Seriously, thank you so much for being on the Marketing Matrix.
Awesome. I'm glad that you liked it. I hope all the listeners who are listening liked it as well. And if I could give any parting words of advice to everyone listening, don't overthink, execute, implement, find a coach that has a system that you can follow. And the faster you implement, the more you execute, the more you work to generate as many success stories as possible, because he or she who has the most success stories wins. That will be the quickest path to following your passion and scaling and leveraging an amazing online business.
Oh, mic drop. I love it. Thanks again, Jeff.
Access denied. Access granted. Access granted.